going into Saturday, I'm like, why am I even here? I'm frustrated. I don't even want to be here anymore. Okay. So, my most viral video from last year, if we can call it viral, was of a craft show that went what I thought was pretty badly, personally. Like it was not what I wanted. I don't think it turned out super well, and I made a video about it, and it got 18,000 views. I decided to do that craft show again. And this is going to be the compare and contrast, I guess, between the 2 years. So last year, I did the Harrison Street Festival, which is about an hour north of me, give or take. And I do that show because one of my friends does that show, and she has a cottage in Harrison. So I get to stay for free. It's $50 for a booth, so it's not terrible. Here's some of the footage from my previous video, and then my reaction to said footage. At 7, right as we were starting to close up, I sold a mini stingray for $6. So altogether, I ended up making $120 on day 1, which is lower than I wanted to make, but it's okay for a Friday. The Friday at the last show that I did, I think I made $113, so I'll take it. At a grand total for Saturday of $237.20 before expenses. So I thought that Friday would go about the same this year, maybe better, honestly, and it did not. So this show runs from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Friday, so it is 9 open hours. I made a grand total of 2 sales this year. I sold 1 loaf cat, and I sold 1 mini stingray. So a grand total of $26 for 9 hours of an open market. Now, part of this is the exact same reason why I feel like last year went badly, which is that this show used to happen on the last weekend before kids went back to school. It was the weekend before Labor Day, and everybody who vacations in this town on their cottages on the lakes is there because it's the last weekend, and because they repealed Labor Day laws in Michigan, kids already went back to school. So a lot of the vacationers, the people who have money, did not come to town. And I'm just going to put this out there. This town has no industry. It's primarily retirees, young families, but there is no like wealth in this town. And I'm not saying that to be derogatory necessarily. I'm saying that in the sense that from a logistical standpoint, at least on Friday, the only people who were out and about were people who had no intention of purchasing anything unless it was at flea market prices. And I'm not the only one who did badly. The girl on the right side of me did not make a single sale the first day. And I was talking to the booth neighbor on the other side of me, and he was still in the negative after Friday, as was I. And I know other people were as well. A lot of people were really upset at how the first day went. I talked to a couple other vendors, and like nobody was happy with it. But it went so much worse for me the first day than it did last year, and I thought last year was bad. So I also would like to put in here that setup was fine, but my booth neighbor set up in the wrong spot, so I ended up getting moved a couple of booths. So I was supposed to be booth number 79, and I was booth number 77. So, you know, it already kind of was weird for setup because there was a snafu, just like there was last year with my booth, that I wasn't where I was supposed to be. I was supposed to be next to my friend, and they did not honor that, and then they had to change a bunch of stuff around at the last minute. Where they put me was all the way at the end. Now, last year I was up on the hill, which was kind of like the last places, so you know, it is what it is. I'm still kind of at the end. It is only my second year as a vendor in my own right at this show, even though I've attended this show multiple times just to help my friend. And so it would make sense that I was kind of towards the back. I wasn't up towards the front. But I have been told that that was based on seniority. And then this year they said, no, it's not based on seniority. It depends on when you apply. Well, I applied in March. I applied before the application was even out. I emailed them to get the application. So by that logic, I should have been up front. I should have been up front. There was a snafu with the paperwork on their end where no one confirmed with me that I had underpaid because the price went up. And so I paid my $40 thinking that it was $40, and nobody told me any different, but they cashed my check. And then when they sent out stuff and they were like, oh, you know, wait for your confirmation, and your confirmation shows that we have you on the docket. I said, hey, I don't have a confirmation yet. And they're like, oh, well, you haven't paid in full. Wish somebody would have told me that, because I would have paid in March, you know, and maybe that's my mistake, but maybe that's on them too, at least a little, because I think that that's personally pretty frustrating to find out later. And they don't accept payment over the phone. They don't accept credit card. You have to mail a check, which, you know, it's 2025. Can we move on from that? Most craft shows have, at least the ones I do. Now, also along the lines of vendor neighbors. Last year, the only vendor neighbor that I had was my friend, because I was like all the way at the end. This year, I had vendor neighbors on both sides. And I think they put me with two of the worst vendor neighbors I've ever had. I had one vendor neighbor on the one side who was selling like kitschy stuff, like handmade reclaimed wood signage, which works great because we're on like lakefront cottages. And of course, people like that stuff, primarily older people who own cottages. And so target demographic works out great. Somebody wanted to take a photo of one of his items, and he got so up in arms about it, like to the point that he told these people to get the F out of his booth, and they got very upset. He was pissed, and then I had to listen to him on speakerphone call his wife and talk about actually hurting these people. That's insane behavior. He also was like, he was one of those people who just like has to make everything about politics. So the reason he's doing badly at the show is because of the Democrats, apparently. And like, number one, he and I fundamentally disagree on a lot of things. And I made sure to let him know that when he stopped in my booth and tried to talk politics with me. I'm like, listen, if you come in here and you start that shit, I will match with you and you are not going to like it. Because I just have no tolerance for that. We can be human and we can talk to each other, but as soon as you want to say some ignorant shit, get out. I'm done talking to you. So then I had to listen to him also wreck a couple of his own sales because he turned things to politics with customers. I'm like, what? This is unnecessary. And then on the other side of me, I have a woman who is equally as conservative and trying to talk politics, and also mega into Jesus, but in the way of like, I need everybody to know because I'm going to make it about me. So for hours on end, I sat in my booth and I listened to her playing DC Talk, early 2000s music at full volume and singing off key at the top of her lungs. But of course, if I ask her to stop now, I'm the asshole because, you know, how dare I mess with her religion? And I'd like to make it clear, I don't care what religion you have. I believe everybody should be able to practice their religion. But I also believe in like common decency and respect and like read the room. And not everybody cares for that, you know? And so for Friday, especially, hours on end, being stuck with this. And I had people that were in my booth that I could tell were also visibly annoyed. What do you do? You know? But it really soured the first day. Like, by the time that we were done end of day Friday, my mom came to help me pack stuff up, and I was ready to not come back Saturday. Like, I was like, I kind of just want to cut my losses and not come back, because this was horrible to have to deal with the vendor neighbors that I did, to deal with customers that I did, because also, like, the customers on Friday were kind of low-key rude. And, like, I got a lot of the, like, oh, well, you shouldn't buy that. I can make that. Or I have a friend that makes that. Or her prices are ridiculous. Like, I was just really over it by the end of the first day. I decided to stick it out for the second day. Okay, so day 2. I started off day 2 just being, like, mad because of how badly Friday went. Like, going into Saturday, I'm like, why am I even here? I'm frustrated. I don't even want to be here anymore. But, you know, tried to put on a good face. I was really close to the coffee shop. Like, my booth was really close to the coffee shop because I was down at the end of this thing. So I got myself a delicious coffee. And I said, it's going to be a good day. I'm manifesting it. It's going to be a good day. Now, there were more people up on Saturday. You know, kids were back out of school. People had come up for the weekend, not nearly at the level that they had in years prior, but some. So, all of a sudden, the customers got nicer. My interactions with people got nicer. Like, it was busier, and people had no problems with my prices on day 2. Funny how that works. So yeah, day 2 immediately started making sales better. Now, my booth fee was $50. My first sale on Saturday was $50, so my booth fee got paid. So I'm like, okay, good. I'm in the green now. Like, now I can take a breath. I didn't lose money on this show. Took a couple days off of work for it, so I did lose money in that sense, but it's fine. You know, that's what happens when you work weekends and like to do craft shows. It's just part of the deal. This is subtle foreshadowing for something I'm going to tell you at the end of this video, so please stay tuned, because things did not get better after this craft show for me personally, but I'll get into that. I'll save that for the end. Saturday last year, I had an issue with Square where I ended up losing a sale, and the person got one of my $40 plushies for free, essentially, because their card didn't go through and I didn't catch it in time. And I am blaming myself 100% for that. I'm not going to blame them. So yeah, it's, you know, that is what it is. I've been a lot more careful since. I learned my lesson, and that was a lesson apparently I needed to learn. I think I actually did better on Saturday this year than I did last year, and I'm not going to go through all of my sales, but I will say that I only have 3 loaf cats left, and I sold a good amount of keychains this year, which keychains have never been a good seller for me. So this year, like, those were the things that really popped off. I did sell my big cow. That was my $50 item. And I sold some stingrays, some little mini stingrays, and, you know, just like mostly smaller items. I did sell a sea turtle for $20, but, you know, is what it is. I am super happy with how Saturday went, and if Friday had gone better, I would have said that this was a great show, honestly. Like, if I had done $200 or $300 on Friday, and then I made about $330, $340 on Saturday, then I would say that this show was fantastic. But that $26 day really, really hurt me on this show. That and the vendor neighbors that I had and the level of interactions on Friday for this show, it just, I don't have a very high opinion of anything regarding this show, frankly. And I don't know if I would do it again. I know last year when I did the recap for this, I said, would I do this again? Yeah. Because I would do it with my friend. However, this year my friend did not attend, and I did not know that until super last minute because she's having knee surgery, and she said it was not worth trying to put it all together. It wasn't worth the fight, and so she wasn't going to do it this year. Fine. Really wish I had known that before I signed up for this one, because there was another show the same weekend that I would have done much, much better at that I didn't even apply for because I was already doing this show. So, yeah, just overall highlights for this show. NA. There really aren't any highlights for this show. I didn't have a particularly great time. I was pretty upset for the entire first day, and I was pretty annoyed the second day with my vendor neighbors still being the way that they were being. I made some decent money on Saturday, so at least the show was not a wash. That being said, would I do this show again? Probably not. I thought last year was just a one-off fluke, and I thought that it would improve this year, and I, dollar for dollar, did worse this year with a higher booth fee than what I did last year. So I really think that this show is something that I've outgrown. I don't think I'll do this show again. And, we'll see for next year. I will be applying for a juried show for the same weekend, and if I don't get into the juried show, maybe I'll do this one. But I really think that the bigger juried shows, the ones that are competitive to get into, those are the shows that I want to be aiming for next year. I think they are worth the time and money much more than these small shows are. And I'm kind of over it. I'm thinking that I need to go south of me towards like Metro Detroit and start doing shows that way, because I have found the people are nicer. There's way less of a sense of entitlement. I don't get pushback like I do at these up north shows. And unless you go like way up north Michigan, a lot of like mid Michigan and middle upper Michigan, it's not an area that people value anything luxury. And they certainly do not want to pay the prices for anything that is truly handmade. And again, not to be derogatory on people who live there, but I just think it's not for me. So I think that is like this year, that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And I think that is going to be the end of that. Now, that being said, I did have a great time up at the cottage. My friend did come to the cottage, even though she did not participate in the show. She helped me pack up. It was nice to have a little weekend getaway with my mom. I came back, went to work Monday and Tuesday, and then I was off Wednesday. I worked Thursday. Now, this is where the subtle foreshadowing comes in. So normally I have to take weekends off for shows, and it's irritating because I work as a server and I make good money on weekends. Thursdays usually are not a great day for me, but I happen to have a really great day. Like, I think I made like $250 on like a 5-hour shift. I got my butt kicked, but like not anything super crazy. We all sat, we had a drink after work. We left work at midnight. I went home, I fell asleep. I woke up at like 4:30 in the morning with just like this weird pit in my stomach. Like something's wrong. And I go and I look on Facebook, and a alleged drunk driver, smashed into the side of our restaurant. Now, keep in mind that we are the only basement tap room in the state of Michigan. Like, we're a really unique place and very, very one of a kind. And we're also in a very much residential area. Like, we're the only thing over on the west side of my city like this. We've got a couple dive bars, but nothing like us. She managed to take out a tree, a sign, a fence, and then punch through a solid brick and concrete wall on the side of our building. Now, all the news is not out yet about what exactly were the circumstances surrounding that accident, so I'm not going to speculate too much. We are currently just kind of like reeling from the aftermath of this. And I work 2 jobs, so I do have a second job to fall back on, but this job is really my primary source of income because working as a server is better pay than what I can really get anywhere else. And as of right now, we are looking at a huge amount of damage. We are closed until further notice. The impact was so hard that concrete flew across the entire restaurant and blew the tops off of our tables, and those tables are heavy. However, here's the silver lining to all of this. 1, no one was in the building when this happened because it was at 2:30 in the morning. And we close at 10, 10:30 on Thursdays. Like, no one was in the building. No one was hurt besides the driver, and she walked away with minor injuries. She was taken to the hospital. But because we're in the basement, like, our kitchen is upstairs. Our kitchen is on the 2nd floor. And we have a huge event hall up there. So we're hoping that within the next few weeks, like, we'll be able to kind of salvage things and be able to temporarily reopen upstairs while we complete renovations downstairs. Their hope is that we're reopened down there by Christmas. But yeah, so it's been like a week of like, I took the weekend off to do a craft show that I ended up being not super happy with by the end of it. Came back, I worked 1 day. And now the restaurant that I work at is like temporarily closed. We don't really know what's happening yet. I'm going today to help clean up trash and concrete and glass. And the entire staff is coming together to help with cleanup. That's kind of where we're at with this market recap. I don't think I'll do this market again, and we will see if I can get a bigger, better market in its place next year. It's kind of where I'm sitting. Hi.
Hi.
Got that one on camera too.
Mm-hmm.